NATO faces a systemic threat from Russian hybrid warfare, a form of warfare that combines both cyber and physical attacks. However, hybrid warfare is only effective in regions of major political division, particularly between Russian and non-Russian speakers. However, political division is extensive throughout NATO, with Germany recently protesting against NATO exercises in Poland and the Baltic, perceiving them as saber-rattling. NATO needs to encourage political and military integration across all of its member states in order to create collective defence and present a united front against outside aggression. Therefore, NATO needs to implement three critical changes. Firstly, the implementation of permanent NATO embassies in each member state. Each member state would therefore have NATO consultants involved in their decision-making process, therefore making NATO be seen as an in-house presence rather than a distant factor. Secondly, increased military war games and exercises. Whilst these have the obvious advantage of encouraging national military cooperation, they also allow political decision makers an insight into how NATO acts. Therefore, they are able to conduct their own strategic defence, complementing NATO rather than hindering it. Thirdly, NATO has a major image problem, in that it is perceived as a member of the military-industrial complex and subject to the will of the Americans. It needs to shake this. NATO generals need to go out and engage with the public rather than just political think tanks and other national militaries. NATO currently is perceived as an old war relic as well. It needs to update its mandate and possibly even its constitution in order to improve its standing in the world and its need and modernity. There is no military alliance ever in history that has had the presence that NATO does. Therefore, it needs a modern defence initiative that combines both political and military gains in order to provide collective defence for all of its member states. Therefore, in conclusion, these three critical changes are absolutely necessary in order to allow for greater political unity and integration. Without political unity and integration, we will see forms of threats such as hybrid warfare again and again threaten the sovereignty of member states and NATO's collective defence by confusing, dividing, and eventually tearing NATO members apart. Therefore, we see the need to combine both military collective defence and political integration in order to provide for a new modern NATO against new diverse threats.